Hi, welcome to Republican Roundtable. I'm Diane Napper, your guest host, sitting in for Max Reimer tonight. It's been a very challenging year for the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, and the previous sheriff is having a difficult time right now being sidelined while crime in the cities continues to rise and is spreading to the suburbs. So there's never been a more important time for a law and order sheriff. Joining us tonight is Jai Hanson. He's a candidate for Hennepin County Sheriff. Welcome, Jai.
Diane, it's great to be back on the show.
Great to have you. So for those of you who haven't met Jai, why don't you tell us about yourself and why you're running for Hennepin County Sheriff?
Yeah, thank you. So I grew up in Minneapolis. I went to high school in Minneapolis, and then I went to college in Chicago, and then came back to Minnesota. When I was in college, I decided, after doing several ride-alongs and seeing specifically what was going on in the city of Chicago with the crime, that I wanted to be a part of the solution and wanted to be a part of that group of law enforcement that really can help bridge a community. And I changed my major from business finance to communications, and I came back to Minnesota and I got a law enforcement certificate from Alexandria, Minnesota, Alec Tech, and became a police officer in 2007, and I've been in this profession for 17 years now, 15 years as a sworn law enforcement officer. Started my career in the city of Lakeville, and then now I am currently with the city of Bloomington, where I'm assigned to a specialty unit, and I've really enjoyed it. I have a master's in public safety administration. And Diane, the reason why I'm running for sheriff is because after what happened to George Floyd, what happened with the civil unrest, what happened with our communities burning down, I know you live in Minneapolis, I live in Minneapolis, or lived in Minneapolis, grew up in Minneapolis, and seeing what happened to our communities and no law enforcement and no leadership, no vision. You know, I go back to what happened in the city of Chicago after Martin Luther King was assassinated and the riots there. They still have not recovered from that.
Right.
And I think it's going to take a long time for our communities to recover from the lack of leadership and the civil unrest that happened here. So now is the time to step up, get involved, and really show why we need public safety and how important the sheriff's office is to the biggest county in the state.
It's a very large county.
Yeah.
So you are running as an independent. Why is that important?
Well, the reason I'm running as an independent is because public safety is a non-partisan issue. I think, you know, when you call 911, hopefully you never have to. Right. But the people that do, we don't ask them if they're a Democrat or a Republican. And we saw after George Floyd and the civil unrest, having a sheriff that is aligned with a political party, your alliance is to that party and not the people. And we saw that with the lack of response that happened all the way from the governor down to our sheriff in Hennepin County. And what I want to do is keep it a nonpartisan race, as it should be, and keep it a nonpartisan office, and get the politics out of the sheriff's office. Now, I am the GOP recommended candidate for sheriff. But at the beginning of this, I made a commitment that I will not take a political endorsement from either political party. And I am adamant that I don't take a political endorsement. Now, being the GOP recommended candidate, I want to be everyone's recommended candidate. That's what you need to win an election.
Right.
So I'm very proud of that and very honored to have that. And again, anyone who wants to recommend me, I happily take.
That sounds good. Well, I will say, as a citizen of Minneapolis, I don't really care what political party the Hennepin County Sheriff is. I'm with you. It's about the people. It's not about the politics of it.
Yeah, so. It's public safety.
Right.
And it's something that when I make a decision, I don't want to be looking over my shoulder and getting approval for that decision I make.
From a political
From a
party.
political party.
Right.
It's about, does it make our county safer? Yes or no? And is it legal?
Right.
Yes or no? And those are two things that drive me in this race and will drive me when I am the sheriff.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about what your responsibility is as the sheriff. How does the sheriff's office differ from like a Minneapolis police or Bloomington police? I think, and not everyone knows what those differences are. Why do we need a Hennepin County sheriff?
A lot of this is education. And the reason why the sheriff's office and the sheriff position is so important is it is the chief law enforcement officer of the county. Several things that differentiate from a city. When you have a municipal police department, when you have a chief, they answer to an elected body. They answer to the mayor. They answer to their city council, where the sheriff does not answer to an elected body. Now, the county commissioners do the budget for the sheriff's office. However, the sheriff does not answer to the county commissioners. The sheriff answers to the people. If you don't like what the sheriff is doing, you can remove that sheriff every 4 years.
Okay.
Right? So that's number one. Number two, by state statute, the sheriff's office is required to do all of the water patrol in the county, the courts, the jail, and civil service paperwork, right? So that is what the sheriff's office is legally state statute bound to do. And what I want to do, I won't obviously continue that because we legally have to. But we need to, all these people that want to re-envision or reimagine policing, I think the sheriff's office needs to take a bigger role in frontline connection with the community, whether that's targeted enforcements. We have the most carjackings ever in the history of our state. We have violent crime up, including homicides. The sheriff's office needs to utilize their resources, and this is talking about vision. This is talking about the administration and the lack of leadership and vision that the current administration has. We need to be able to take those resources and help do a county-wide response to the violent crime and the crime in general. When we have suburban mayors, for example, asking for a metro-wide response to violence, well, that metro-wide response is called the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office can facilitate that on a county level. Criminals don't see city boundaries.
No.
Right? I mean, we're seeing that happen in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. Now it's going out to Golden Valley. Now it's going out to Maple Grove, Richfield, Bloomington,
Edina.
Wherever,
Mm-hmm.
Edina. They don't see the boundaries.
No.
So we need to have a county-wide response to that, and that's what a sheriff's office can quarterback.
So it's a lot of coordinating so that if there's something lacking in one area, then your job is to know what that is and work with that locality and see maybe I can get some people from a different locality to help out, kind of.
Absolutely. A lot of this is partnerships. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a great working partnerships with the sheriff or with the chiefs of cities, right? Secondly, it's advocation, right? Advocating at the state capitol, advocating at the federal level, making sure the citizens of Hennepin County have all the resources available to them to make sure they're safe. And that's how I see the role of the sheriff, being the chief law enforcement officer of the county, is being that advocate and making sure we have every resource available to us to ensure that the county citizens and members are safe.
So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about the citizens. With all of the crime that's happened in the last 2 years, do you get a sense that maybe our population is becoming desensitized to crime? With, if you're hearing about it every single day, are people not caring as much, or are they really just, are they fed up? Are they fired up? Are they wanting change? Are they looking for someone to be a leader and be that law and order sheriff that we need?
You know, as I go out and talk to people daily campaigning, right, and talking to a wide number of people, first of all, it's been a complete honor to talk to so many people. But I'm hearing their stories. I'm hearing that the victims don't have someone championing for them. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing that a lot of people feel like people that are charged with a crime or criminals have more protection right now than the victims of crime. And I became a police officer to make sure that we are doing everything in our power to protect people from being victimized and re-victimized by a system. Mm-hmm. So that's number one. I think number two, we're seeing a lot of people that are just heartbroken, right? Seeing what's happened to their communities. You know, if you ever thought, I can't go downtown for a play. I can't go downtown anymore to a Twins game or a Vikings game. Mm-hmm. If you changed your plans because you feel like you're unsafe, now's the time to get involved. And now's the time to make sure you're supporting the people that can get the change done. I'm running against a DFL-endorsed candidate who is part of the current sheriff's administration. And my question to her would be, what have you done as far as vision goes in the last 3.5 years? She likes to say, you know, we don't have time for on-the-job training. We need to get this done day one. Well, you've had 3.5 years. We don't have time for another 4 years for you to learn this.
Right.
And that's really something that I'm hearing when I talk to people.
Mm-hmm. That's important, and I think voters need to understand who it. You know, if someone's doing a job for a certain number of years and you're not seeing the results, then maybe it's time for someone else to step in and take over.
Yeah, and to me, this is about vision. Tell me what your vision is, mm-hmm. And she might have the rank, right? The rank is a supervision position. It's not a leadership position. Leadership is by choice, not by rank. And if you go to my website, Jai for Sheriff, Jai, the number 4, Sheriff, you'll see my priorities. You'll see how I want to combat some of this crime. You'll see how I want to get in the community and how I want to be present. One of the things that I want to do is have a satellite office in North Minneapolis. And the reason that I want to do that, not only would I have that office for the sheriff's office, but I would office out of that office. Because I think North Minneapolis has been abandoned by public safety mm-hmm. and our politicians unless it's an election year. So now what we're seeing is that area being abandoned and that crime now spreading throughout our whole county. Mm-hmm. So I want to take personal responsibility of helping curb that crime, being a part of the community. You take more of an investment when you're a part of the community. My DFL opponent lives in Dakota County in Lakeville and hasn't paid Hennepin County taxes in over 30 years. So just by being a part of the community and knowing the people and being invested, I think is really important.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree with you because you're closer to the situation and you're more able to help being that much closer to kind of ground zero or where the action's happening, so to speak.
Yeah, and Diane, I mean, I want people in some of these high crime areas to be able to say, I'm going to walk down Broadway and go talk to Jai. I want them to know me. If a politician wants to come and talk to me about something, I don't want to go to the Capitol every time. Why don't you come meet me in North Minneapolis and let's walk around? Mm-hmm. And I can show you why we need some of this funding to make sure these communities are safer.
Right. So your job as sheriff is to enforce the law. You know, you don't get to make the law. You don't get to pick and choose which laws you want to enforce. How does that work with holding lawbreakers accountable? We've seen a lot of people, it's like a revolving door where people commit crimes and 2 hours later they're back on the street. I hear about that a lot, actually, from people in law enforcement. So what can you do as Hennepin County Sheriff to fix that, Jai?
One thing I'm very proud of is I have the most frontline experience, I've taken the most 911 calls of any candidate running for sheriff. And here's why that's important to this race. We are not going to fix this by sitting behind a desk. All right, we need to have that leadership that knows what it's like to respond to a domestic at 3 o'clock in the morning, what it's like to respond to an overdose in the middle of the night, and the heartbreak that comes with that, and calling family members and saying what just happened. You need to have those experiences, so then when you're advocating for funding, when you're talking about how other county resources we can combine to help, what is really necessary and what really can help people, and not feel good programs that don't get it done.
We've certainly seen a lot of wish lists and reimagining and what I would say, you know, as a Minneapolis resident for over 25 years, it seems like the people in charge keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And so that's kind of a big revelation for someone who hasn't necessarily paid attention to that. And so I think having a strong new voice who's been close to the action, who knows what it takes to allocate the resources as needed and not just on somebody's wish list is going to be important.
I'm happy you bring that up because to the viewers, in the last 4 years, if you felt unsafe where you changed your plans because of crime, or you're sick of seeing the Twin Cities on national news lead-ins for the violence that's happening in our communities that is not acceptable, and this notion of, well, it's happening all across our nation, so it's happening here too, that's not appropriate. I mean, we shouldn't keep going on the national trend. We need to be the leaders in how we fix this.
Right.
So if you felt unsafe in the last 3.5 to 4 years, it's time to vote in people that are on the outside, that are the agents of change. And that's what my administration would be about.
So what types of measures will you be able to enact to reassert law and order in Hennepin County?
Yeah, you brought up the revolving door, right? And one thing about being the sheriff that I don't think it's utilized enough is you answer to the people. You don't have that elected body like a chief has, that they have to answer to the council and a sheriff or in the mayor. You answer to the people. So with that, you need to use that voice and be able to articulate what is going on in our judicial system, what is going on with our legislative branch, and why this revolving door is happening. So, for instance, if law enforcement's doing the investigations, making concrete cases, and they're not getting charged out by a county attorney, or a judge is not giving an appropriate sentence to an individual, that's when you need to have a vocal sheriff that will stand up and say, we're doing what we can on the law enforcement side. We need some help and support from our county attorney and our judicial branch. And the county attorney race, I'm just going to say, is very, very important.
It is, because you would work very closely with the county attorney to help solve some of these problems. And
Yes.
I think that role, seeing the Hennepin County Sheriff speaking up for the people who you work for would be helpful, would be important to know, okay, this person really is putting pressure on the judicial system, on the county attorney, to help stem the crime that's happening, because I know a lot of people are just sick and tired of it.
Yeah, we're seeing that that vocal pressure. You know, one example, you look at the parents at the University of Minnesota right now that have students at the University of Minnesota. They are fed up with the crime that's going on at the campus and around the campus. And they are fed up with the lack of response to the crime by the U of M's administration. They're on all the media channels, they're on social media, and their platform now has got the attention where changes are going to happen. And that's why it's so important to be vocal and stand up for what you believe in and what needs to be done to be effective. And being an independent allows me to do that.
Awesome. So, you are in a three-way race for the August 9th primary, which is coming up in a few weeks. And then the top two from that race will advance to the general election in November. Is that correct?
That's correct,
okay.
Yeah.
So you're out there hitting the pavement, you're talking to people, you're letting them know what your vision is and how you want to help be their sheriff, not just someone who's not going to do the job.
Right, and it's something that the primary is so important, not only for my race, but again, the county attorney race. And I just want to remind your viewers, when they go and vote and they get that ballot, they have to flip that ballot over, because the county attorney race and the county sheriff race are both on the back side of that ballot. So that's very important to get out and vote, number one, in the primary, and number two, make sure you flip that ballot over for both races.
Right. So, again, being affected by what's happened in the last 3 or 4 years, and I would say 99% of the people in Hennepin County have been affected in one way or another. That's a great way to look at it. If you've been affected, then you need to make sure you get out and vote in the primary on August 9th.
Now's the time to get involved. You can't sit on the sidelines and say, boy, the crime is out of control, we need to do something. This is your way of participating in the election and saying, the way we're trending as a society in Minnesota, in the Twin Cities, in Hennepin County, is not the trend I want to continue. And this is how you can participate and help.
Right, because it starts local. It starts with the individual. Is where is where society starts, really.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that we are participating and not just, getting on social media to say whatever we want to say.
Yeah.
So tell us, Jai, where can our viewers find you online? Do you have I think you mentioned your website earlier.
Yeah. So the website is jaiforsheriff.com. So it's JAI, the number 4, sheriff. And then that's also my social media handles, is Jai for Sheriff for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I am very responsive to any messages when I have the time to do so. So I really enjoyed it.
Great. Well, we thank you so much for coming in tonight. We wish you all the best on your race, and it's great to meet you, and great to hear what your vision is and how you want to help the people of Hennepin County.
Well, thank you for having me again. I really enjoyed doing this. Thank you.
This has been Republican Roundtable. I'm Diane Napper. Until next time.